This is the video tutorial for the Happy Days over the line peg bag, and this is how we make it. You'll need fabric for the outer, fabric for the lining and a small piece of sewable Velcro. We'll start by making the strap. Fold your strap fabric long ways, right sides together, line up the sides and the edges, and then add some clips along the long side. I've added my clips and I'm now going to take it over the sewing machine and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all the way along and stop. And now I need to ensure that that seam I've just sewn lies in the middle of my strap. So look where your centre is, where your crease is. Take your time with this, a little bit fiddly, and then open up your seam and press with your iron. I've pressed my centre seam open. I'm now going to add some clips along this short edge. I've added my clips and now I'm going to take it over the sewing machine and sew all along using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've sewn across and now I'm going to turn it the right way out. I've turned the strap the right way out and I've pushed out the corners and pressed it. And with the strap facing this way so you can see the seam, get your Velcro and place it on there, about 1/4 inch down from the end, and centre it. And when you're happy with that, pop a pin in and then take it over the sewing machine and sew it into place. I've sewn the Velcro into place and that's our strap finished for the time being, so I'm going to put it to one side. We're now working on the main body of the peg bag. Take your front piece of outer fabric and fold in half, right sides together, and crease. This is simply because we need to find the centre. Open out your fabric and using your ruler, measure 4 centimetres from this edge along the crease. And add a mark with your heat erasable pen. Once you've made your mark, take your other piece of Velcro and place it underneath that line as I've done. Make sure it's in the centre. When you're happy with that, add a pin. When you've added your pin, take it over the sewing machine as you did before and sew your Velcro into place. I've added my Velcro. Now I've taken my back piece of outer fabric and placed it on top. I've lined up my sides and my bottom edge and I'm going to add some clips. I've added my clips. As you notice, I haven't added clips here because we won't be sewing along there at the moment. Using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, starting here, sew all the way down to the bottom and stop, along the bottom and stop, and then back up and stop. I've sewn along the 3 straight edges and I've also snipped the corners for a much nicer finish when we turn it, and that's the next job, to turn it the right way out. I've turned it the right way out and I've pushed out the corners and pressed. And now I'm going to turn it over so the Velcro will be touching the table. So we're looking at the back of the bag. Now take your strap that you made earlier and place it on the back of your bag so you're looking at the part with the Velcro on, and you'll be looking at the centre seam as well. And place it in the middle at the top. Then add some clips. I've added my clips. It's quite important that we're only adding the clips to the one side. I'm now going to take it over to the sewing machine and tack the strap into place. So I'm going to sew fairly close to the edge, so we don't want to see the stitches in the final make. I've tacked my strap into place and I'm going to put it to one side now while I work on the lining. Place your two lining fabrics right sides together, so pretty side to pretty side, so you're looking at the back of the fabric. Line up the sides and edges and then add some clips along the straight edges. I've added my clips and now I'm going to take it over the sewing machine, and once again using a 1/4 inch seam allowance I'm going to sew along this side, stop. I'm going to sew along to here, and here's where we're going to be leaving our gap for turning. About a 10cm gap will do. So sew to your end of your gap and start again the other side to the end and continue right to the top and stop. I've sewn using a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, remembering to leave my gap for turning. And then I've snipped the two corners. The next stage is to put the outer that we put to one side earlier inside the lining that we've just made. Remember that you're still looking at the wrong side of the lining, and that's correct. I'll push the outer that was the right way round inside the lining that was still the wrong way, so right sides, pretty sides, are now touching. Line up this side seam on both and this raw edge, the curved shape. Line all that up and then add clips this side and this side. I've lined up my side seams and my raw edges and I've added clips. I'm now going to take it over to the sewing machine and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Carefully sew all the way around, joining the lining to the outer. Sewn all the way around this side and this side. Next we're going to turn it the right way out through the gap at the bottom. I've folded in the raw edge of the gap and I'm going to machine stitch across. You could hand stitch if you wish. I'll push the lining inside and pressed, and now I'm going to top stitch all the way around this top edge to finish the peg bag off. I've top stitched all the way around, and all that's left now is to fill your over the line peg bag with your pegs and hope for a nice sunny day.